Today I'm going to look at section 1.6, solving linear inequalities. Okay, solving linear inequalities is a lot like solving equations. You're going to get your x by itself. One of the rules that we need to remember, though, is if we end up multiplying or dividing by a negative number on both sides, we have to flip our inequality. Let's try a few examples. So our first one, I've got 2x plus 6 greater than or equal to 10. And again, we're going to just get x by itself. So we need to subtract the 6 from both sides. 2x is greater than or equal to 4. And then we'll divide by 2. Notice we're dividing by a positive number, so we don't need to do any flipping of inequalities. Okay, so we've got x is greater than or equal to 2. Your directions will say that it wants it in interval notation. That's where you decide if you start with negative infinity or you end with positive infinity. If you read what we've got here, we've got x is greater than or equal to 2. So we want everything bigger than 2. So that means we're starting with 2 and we're going to positive infinity. It has an equal sign, so that means the 2 is included. We need a bracket. And you always put a parenthesis with your infinities. And then they might also ask you to graph your inequality. Okay, so I'm not picky about the graph. Just put the number on here that they have and shade the correct direction. So we need to go to positive infinity. So we'll shade to the right. And some books just put the bracket or parentheses depending on what you used in the problem. Or you can use a closed or open circle. Closed circle for included, open circle for not included. Let's look at another one. T plus 2 over 3 less than 5. Okay, again, we're going to get t by itself. So let's multiply by 3 on both sides. So we'll get t plus 2 is less than 15. And then we just need to subtract 2 from both sides. So we'll get t is less than 13. Okay. Again, read what you've got. You've got t is less than 13. So we want everything that's smaller than 13. So we need to start with the negative infinity and go to 13. No equal sign this time, so the 13 is not included. We'll put a parenthesis. And then we'll go ahead and graph the inequality. So I'll put the 13 on here. This time we're going to shade to the left. Okay, and it's got a parenthesis, or you could have put an open circle. Make sure when you're doing interval notation, you always put the smallest part first. So smallest to biggest, read from left to right. Okay, we've got negative 5t greater than or equal to 10. Okay, well, all we need to do is divide by negative 5 on both sides. But notice we're dividing by a negative number. That's that rule that I told you about. We're going to have to flip the inequality. So when we divide by negative 5, we get t, flip the inequality, so less than or equal to negative 2. And now we've got everything less than or equal to negative 2. So we'll start with negative infinity and go to negative 2. And we need to put the bracket because it is included. And then we'll go ahead and graph it. So we've got negative 2 on here. We want to shade everything to the left. And we've got a bracket on negative 2. Okay, then the last couple examples, they give you a compound inequality. that's where you've got two inequalities in the same sentence. So we've got 3 less than 4 minus x less than or equal to 20. Okay, this is what's called a compound inequality. You still want to get x by itself, but leave x in the middle. Okay, so to get x by itself, well, we need to get rid of the 4, so we'll subtract, excuse me, subtract 4 from each part here. It's like we've got 3 sides going on. Make sure you do the same thing to all 3 parts. So we've got -1 less than negative x less than or equal to 16. And then we need to divide by -1. Okay, again, we're dividing by a negative, so we've got to flip our inequalities. So we'll have a +1 greater than x greater than or equal to -16. And now we're ready. We've got x by itself. This is the answer, but we want to put it in interval notation. These are actually easier when you have a number on both sides. Just make sure you put the smallest number first. Remember, you're always starting with the smallest part. So we're going to put the -16 first. There's an equal sign with the -16, so we need to put a bracket with the -16, comma, 1. There's no equal sign with the 1, so we're going to put a parenthesis. And then we'll just show that we're going from -16 to 1, so we'll shade everything in between those two numbers. We've got a bracket on -16 and a parenthesis on 1. Let's try one more of those. So we've got 5 greater than 2 times the quantity x plus 4 minus 5 greater than -5. I'm going to distribute the 2 first. Combine like terms. Okay, and now we're just getting x by itself. So I'll subtract 3 from all 3 parts. And divide by 2 from all 3 parts. Okay, notice I didn't flip the inequality that time. I was dividing by a positive number. Some people question, well, this was negative over here. It's what you divide or multiply by. It's not what's already in that particular part. So as long as you're dividing or multiplying by a positive number, you just keep your signs the same. Okay, and then again, the -4 is smaller, so we'll put the -4 first, comma 1, and they both do not have equal signs, so they're both not included, parentheses, and then we'll graph it. -4 to 1, shade everything in between. Okay, and now you should be able to complete the assignment.